What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Existential Stoic Podcast Quick Fix 45, being more forgiving. Sometimes you just have to forgive and sometimes you have to be more forgiving. So today's short little episode, we're each going to share with you 3 quick tips for how to be more forgiving. I'm Randy. That's my buddy Danny. What's up, Danny?
What's up, Randy?
All right. So to begin with, have you ever had a difficult time forgiving someone?
Yeah, I have. And it's funny because I have gone through this several times in my past, especially, but it just sucks too, being angry at somebody. It's, I think a lot of times too, I think it's when you're really struggling with it, you just need to face up to reality and make a change sometimes, make a change in your life. I think that's a big part of it because I think it usually has to do with us, not really necessarily the world, and I think that's a big factor of it because it sucks. It just makes things miserable.
Yeah, definitely. There's one person that I've been actively forgiving for kind of years at this point. And it's still not completely resolved, but it's something that, it's definitely added a little bit of friction in both of our lives. So, it's just one of those things that get to work on, get to practice. So that being said, having a lot of practice in the area, we're each going to share 3 quick tips. I'll go first. Yeah. So my first one is forgive 7 times 77. So I think this comes from Jesus. He said that, but before him, it was like the rule was try and forgive someone 7 times. And if they don't accept your forgiveness at that point, you're relinquished of the idea. Like you don't have to do it anymore. But he said, no, forgive 7 times 77, which is like 400 and some times, a lot of times to do it. But it's a good idea. And this is like one thing that I've personally been working on because, the first time I tried to forgive, there was more stuff. And then after that, there was more stuff and more stuff. And like each time that I work on forgiving, it opens it up a little bit. But I realized that okay, here's a goal. Do it 500 times. Cool. At the end of 500 times, if there's still stuff, then wow, whatever. But it's still much better than quitting after 7 times. So I think that's a good one.
What I like about that too is it really emphasizes too the idea that the relationship's more valuable than the thing that's causing the friction or the issue. Not always, but usually. And it really asks you also to take a look at yourself and just keep practicing it because a lot of times we just need to do things over and over to change our perspective. It's hard, I like that one. Goes well in my first one too, I think, because my first one is pretend you are the other person. I find this really helpful. Like journaling, is a good way to do this without but you can kind of adopt their perspective. Why they do that thing? What might have been going on in their life? Does that give you room to make forgiving easier? Because sometimes I think when we're angry, we don't really think about the whole life or what was going on with them. And we forget that sometimes shit just happens, right? And it's worth forgiving. It's might not have been necessarily intentionally, to anger us or make us mad.
Yeah, I really like this suggestion of yours because this was something that actually helped me out quite a bit. Because when I journaled and I tried to look at it from their perspective, I saw my own involvement in it. And so it kind of opened up my eyes to how I was responsible for this. And that was a lot more as soon as I saw that I was responsible for this, it was like, okay, now I can forgive quite a bit more.
Yeah, because you see your involvement, right? You see that's never just really one person usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my second one is do it for yourself. So a lot of people, I feel like they get stuck. They're like, I tried forgiving this person, but I went to them and they wouldn't accept my forgiveness. Like, what am I supposed to do if they don't accept my forgiveness? And it's like, you're not trying to get their forgiveness.
Yeah.
Forgiving them is for you. And so I oftentimes think they don't even need to know, not up to them. You have this burden where you think you need to forgive someone. So forgive them, work on it, forgive them and forgive them and forgive them and do it for yourself because you're getting that poison out of your system.
Yeah, I really like that because that's the truth, right? It almost doesn't matter if they accept it or not. And if they can't accept it, that's okay. It's not really they don't have that power. But when you act like that, a lot of times I think it's just to keep ourselves in that state too. It's almost like a mental trick that we do,
Yeah,
to
and
make
even
us
even if they're
miserable.
not here anymore, like a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I said this thing to this person before they died, and now I'll never be able to
Yeah.
get their forgiveness." And it's like, that's okay. You can still forgive them, and you can, ask for forgiveness and all of that stuff, and you can resolve it within you, because that's really the important part.
That's really what matters. Yeah, I like that. My second one, too, I think, and this is crucial, is, when you are angry and you're trying to forgive us, ask yourself, when does anger ever make anything better? And also ask yourself, is this really important? Whatever the issue is, because I found this a lot with myself. It's like a lot of times, and like you said, I think a lot of times it has to do more with us and our involvement. And we end up focusing on things outside to kind of take our minds away from our own involvement. And when you really ask, like, is this important, or when does anger make anything better? You kind of get to the heart of, like, is this really an issue worth being angry about? Does it really make sense not to forgive them?
Yeah, I love that one. I remember like the week that you taught me about, does anger actually make anything better? Because like the next day I was furious, and then I remembered that saying of yours in my head, and I just started cracking up because I was like, this clearly isn't making anything better at
It's not
all.
gonna help. It makes it hard to think. You can't, it's like it's ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. My last one is think of one good characteristic of the person. So, like, oftentimes we have these sticking points where we're like, I can't forgive them because they're like this demon incarnate, and you're an angel, they're a demon
Yeah, of
incarnate. You
course.
can't forgive them. You're doing this for the goodness of humanity. You have to hold a grudge for the goodness of humanity. So, like, this is
Forever.
kind of, yeah, I know, right? This is like to kind of ease that stickiness, is just think of one good characteristic of the person. They have a nice smile. They one time said something nice to you. They one time held open the door for an old person. Like, think of one good characteristic, because once you do that, it can kind of start a train of thought where you can start seeing the humanity of this person. They may have terrible characteristics about them, but they may also have some good characteristics. And so it kind of eases it stops making them a devil, and it's like, they're human. This happened. Maybe I can forgive them.
I like that too, because it is. It's the reality that we're all people and we all have good things and bad things about us, and we all make mistakes. And I think, you humanize the person more rather than just focusing on the action or the thing that's causing you so much anger, right? That's a great one. Um, my last one kind of, I think can be helpful too. Is just take time to be alone. Sometimes I think, we get caught up in being angry, and it's not always easy, because we might see the person a lot. So sometimes you just have to remove yourself from the situation, whether it's like, I've done this with family where I haven't seen them for a week or more sometimes, just because I needed time apart for me to process it. And then it's like, then I can, forgive and go back and kind of take a break. It helps, I think, settle yourself and find that balance.
Yeah, definitely. You get to see what's true for you, and then you get to, like, yeah, see how the
Yeah.
relationship truly is. So that is
Boom.
it for being more forgiven. 6 quick tips for you, 3 from me, 3 from Danny. And then now you can forgive everyone, and you'll never hold a grudge again. So
And do it more so.
I know, right? So if you did enjoy the episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and we will see you back again shortly. I'm Randy. That's Danny. Later, Danny.
Later, Randy.